Nothing.
Nothing. Don't overreact. Wait and see if anything actually happens. Seriously, everybody's out there running around, pulling down no follows, freaking out. We're going to get smacked down.
So,
who's seen rankings drop if you're doing PageRank Sculpting? Who's seen rankings drop? Thank you.
So, from what I understood, it's not a matter of you're going to get penalized for it. What he said was that it may not work as well. So it's not something that you need to go out and it's, I think Danny made the comparison earlier to meta tags. Like, you don't have to tear them down just because they don't work as well. So.
yeah, I mean, I would think that if you use the no follow on the links originally, it was because those pages weren't that important to you. I mean, that's why I'm assuming that a lot of people did that. And so if that's still the case, then yeah, it's still, you know, there's no like reason to take it down if that's why you did it. I do think that we talked about this in the earlier session that I spoke at. I think that it can still be a good practice to disallow the pages that you don't care about being indexed, but not for PageRank reasons, more for crawl efficiency reasons. So if you don't need the registration pages indexed, why not let bots spend their time on the pages you do care about? But that only has to do with crawl efficiency. It really wouldn't affect PageRank at all. So if that's already sort of how your site is structured, then it still might be valuable anyway.
We've been teaching something called siloing for 5 years. Presented it here.
Everybody has to take a drink every time he says
Tick market. You can get it even later. But we've never ever seen an impact with nofollow. We don't really teach to use nofollow widely on our website. We recommend that what you do is you take big blocks of links, contiguous blocks like navigation, put them in an iframe. And according to the way it was actually said, is if you take the source for the iframe, which is not indexed as part of the page, robots text it out, you've effectively removed all those links from the page anyhow, which is a much more efficient way of handling no follows than actually using no follow. So, but I agree, if you're going to link to a page that is not necessary, not theme related, and not going to contribute to the ranking you want to get for a keyword, you ought to no follow it, and I don't even think you ought to worry about losing any page rank over it.
Speaking of iframes, if you have, let's say, a blog where you're not super careful about moderating the comments, you could iframe out all the comments, and that kind of makes it nice and non-spammy.
So I also want to just mention that you don't need to do nofollow, right? Like most of the web doesn't, and it's if you don't want to take the hassle of doing all these things of I want to make sure that they only see these links or whatever. Like you're perfectly fine not to use it at all.
It is definitely an advanced tactic that you don't want to screw around with. You need to know what you're doing. It's like you're doing brain surgery.
The sculpting, I'm a big sculptor. We do a lot of it with large sites, and I can tell you that I have seen no dip whatsoever. But even if the change that they said is happening actually happens, it's still something I'll do because we use it, indexing for us. It's much more about controlling the overall quality percentage-wise of my index content. So I sculpt to make sure that what gets crawled in the index is all the page that are quality pages that Google will show display PageRank for, because that means they think it's real content. And I like to have my ratio of good pages to bad pages to be strong on the side of the good pages. So if I got 20,000 pages site and I'm getting my traffic from 200 pages, we go and look at where the SEO's traffic from, and we sculpt out everything that doesn't perform. Google doesn't ever return for a search result, they don't care for it. And what we find when we do that is that the site as a whole performs better.
We also, like, if we disallow it via, like, we nofollow, we disallow it via robots text, but we also no index it via robots text, which I know Google will tell me is not officially supported, but it works. I've been doing it for 2 years.
It's in the document.
Yeah. Okay, you're dying yesterday. Or not your dying. No. All right, so I was.
I can't be blamed for everything.
But if you take, if you've got the pages, so you no-follow a bunch of pages and you disallow them via robots text, you end up with a long listing of like URL only listings in the index. I'm really anal retentive and I like to get rid of those so that I can just look at only the pages that actually matter. So when you do your disallow robots text, you can also do a no index on the same directory. So anything that we disallow, we also no index so that it doesn't show up for the same reason that Greg just mentioned, because we only want the pages indexed that we think are actually going to do us any good, and that's the only thing that we want showing when we do a site search in Google.
Remember with robots.txt, if you're including a set of directives specifically for Googlebot, Googlebot is only going to pay attention to those directives, and if you have other directors for all user agents, asterisk, those are ignored by Googlebot.
So consensus, don't freak out, you don't have to do anything. It's not going to be a problem. Okay, so